All right, good afternoon. I see 3 people on so far. We're going to wait a few minutes for additional people to join, and we're also waiting on a few panelists. Appreciate your patience. Great. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. We're just waiting a few minutes for some of our panelists to join and for a few more of the attendees to join, and then we'll get started. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the pre-submission webinar for the 43rd and Cicero request for proposals that DPD published on August 1st. The game plan for today is to kind of talk through the opportunity, the site itself, describe the design principles, the RFP process, and then also provide an opportunity for you to ask questions and get any answers. During the webinar, feel free to use the Q&A function in Zoom to submit questions. We're just going to go through all of the material up front, and then at the end, we'll read off and answer any of the submitted questions, and then we'll also have an opportunity for you to raise your hand, unmute, and ask questions verbally that way. We have a few folks on today to answer questions. My name is Nolan Saroff. I'm the supervising planner for the Southwest region here at the Department of Planning and Development and the project manager for this RFP. Just in the interest of time, I'll just introduce folks. We also have David Scully, who's managing deputy commissioner here at the Department of Planning and Development. We have Jeffrey Cohen with our Bureau of Economic Development. And I see we have Alderman Rodriguez on as well. So before we get started, I do want to give Alderman Rodriguez, if you have any remarks you want to make, I want to give you the opportunity to do that now. And if you are making remarks, you're muted right now. So. Okay, we'll continue. So the RFP site that we're talking about here today is at the southeast corner of 43rd Street and South Cicero Avenue in the 22nd Ward. It actually consists of 4 properties, 4 pins. The site size is about 38,000 square feet, and it's currently zoned B3-1 Community Shopping District, but DPD would entertain its zoning being increased up to a B3-3. for the project. And what we're looking to see here is a mix of uses, including ground floor retail, upper floor residential or independent senior living units, and a development that engages the pedestrian realm and complements the current development that's happening at Leclerc Courts across the street. Some of the broader context, this is sort of the gateway to Midway Airport, which is just 2 miles to the south and has seen $47 million in recent investment. There's the estimated $400 million in current and future development at the former Leclerc Court site. There are two portions of that, or two phases of that site under development right now. One is a commercial block that would include a grocery store and a medical office building, and then two mixed-use, mixed-income buildings fronting Cicero Avenue. There's also the newly opened Academy for Global Citizenship towards the back near Leclerc-Hurst Park. And then another thing to note is that the city did recently adopt the Cicero Avenue Corridor Study, which was led by both DPD and CDOT, and looks at sort of the public realm, looks at development and land use opportunities along the corridor, and is an important document that you'll want to take a look at as you're developing a proposal for this site. Here's just a few context images again. The two on the right show the future Leclerc Courts development, which includes a grocery store, medical office building, some retail outlots, the mixed use and mixed income housing on Cicero, and then in future phases contemplate an additional roughly 600 units to fill out the site. And then at the bottom, you can see the new Academy for Global Citizenship. So a lot of great investment that's happening around this area right now. Here are the current site conditions. So just a couple aerial views of the site. The one on the left is looking south from 43rd Street, and the other one is looking sort of southwest from the alley. And a couple on the ground views. And then, as you may already be familiar with, the request for proposals document does outline some conceptual site development scenarios. These are really just meant to be sort of inspirational or aspirational, give you a sense of how the city would like to see the site developed, how we'd like to see it engage with the street. So site scenario one, all of these are sort of a little bit lower density. They're not maxing out the FAR that's developable in a B3-3 because we're trying to be sort of, mindful of the existing context. There is denser development that's going in on the west side of Cicero, but directly to the east across the alley is single family homes. So I think that's an important consideration to make as you're developing a concept for this. But you'll see in all of these scenarios, we're looking to have, we see ground floor retail, neighborhood oriented retail, community space, that's sort of the purplish blue box in the massing, and then residential above. All of these concepts also try to put parking off of Cicero in the back or accessible via the alley. They all try to incorporate landscaping, open space, pedestrian amenities. One of the things that came out of the Cicero Avenue Corridor Study is that, the community really wants to see Cicero. There's the reality of it being a 6-lane kind of high capacity road, but if there are ways that we can make Cicero Avenue more safer and more comfortable for pedestrians and other users, we want to encourage that. And so we'd like to see those types of elements incorporated into this site as well. Here's a second massing concept that has kind of a 2-building approach with a common open space in the center that could be programmed. And then a third concept again with a mixed-use building with retail on the ground floor, residential units above, and then a community center as well as some open and plaza space that could be programmed. In addition, when we're looking at design principles for this site in terms of retail services, national chains are acceptable. This is Cicero Avenue, but certainly we'd like to see proposals that encourage independent and small business, local business operators on the ground floor. In terms of public space, public realm and open space, we'd like to see the proposals that meaningfully activate the primary street frontage and provide pedestrian amenities. We'd like to see public art incorporated and certainly can work with the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events to engage local artists to do that. With pedestrian connectivity, we'd like to, again, see the public realm be engaged concepts should engage the sidewalk, engage the street, front the street. The city has our complete street standards and our neighborhood design guidelines that we would encourage you to take a look at as you're developing your proposals. And then parking again, we want to mitigate those sort of automobile pedestrian conflict points. So parking should be oriented towards the back of the site, accessible via the alley. As much as we can, eliminate curb cuts on Cicero, we'd like to see that. As I mentioned earlier, the Cicero Avenue Corridor Study is an important document that you'll want to be familiar with. It provides an overview of the corridor and articulates some priorities for the area. It includes design guidelines and site development scenarios that you can also reference as you're developing proposals for this site. And this should be seen as a complement to the guidance that's provided in the RFP. I think the other thing I would want to note here too is, again, with the CHA redeveloping Leclerc Courts across the street, we also want to see developments that sort of complement that as well. All of those should work together. There is a URL. It's very long and cumbersome at the bottom of this, but that gets you access to the Cicero Avenue Corridor Study. You can also just, you should come up via a Google search as well. In terms of the submission process, so the RFP was opened on August 1st. It'll be open until 11:59 p.m. on October 31st. The development team is responsible for the site planning, the architectural design, securing entitlements, attracting acre tenants, and any environmental remediation. I will note that this site does have some known environmental issues. It was a gas station at one time, so there may be some underground storage tanks. We also have a record of a diesel spill on the site, so there may be some remediation that's needed. And DPD is willing to share any of those environmental documents that we have on file with the applicants. There is an addendum regarding environmental guidance that I would encourage you to take a look at. And then you would apply via the city's Shy Block Builder website, again, by 11:59 on October 31st. You can access that site by going to Chicago.gov/blockbuilder. Documents should be uploaded under this sort of nomenclature so that we can keep all of those documents straight. And then in terms of selection process, we did get a valuation on the site, both for base zoning, which is B3-1, but also under the expanded B3-3 zoning. If you were to pursue that, you can see those target prices here. So roughly $1 million and $1.3 million, depending on zoning. I would note that while it's not a minimum bid, respondents are advised the purchase price is an important part of DPD's evaluation. So this is a competitive process. So keep that in mind as you're determining what your bid price is. City staff will review applications and submissions and provide a recommendation to DPD's commissioner to select a team. Applicants that are not selected may receive a detailed feedback if requested. And then after reviewing, DPD and the 22nd Ward will organize a public meeting, and any shortlisted applicants will be expected to present their proposals to the public at that meeting. I won't go through it in detail, but you'll see the scoring rubric outlined on the right. I think the main things that we're looking for are proof of experience and financial capacity and project feasibility. But it's also important to, make sure that you're meeting sort of the public benefits and conforming to plans and community engagement. We certainly do look to see that you've engaged with the 22nd Ward, with community organizations as you developed your proposal. How to apply? You can apply today. You can either go to Chicago.gov/RFPs or you can go to Chicago.gov/blockbuilder. On the RFP page, you'll see there's a little more information. So that's where you can see the program guide, the RFP document, any of the addendums that we've published. Again, addendum number 1 is that we changed the date of this webinar. Addendum number 2 is that environmental guidance. We will publish a third addendum, which will be Q&A, publishing the Q&A from this session and any questions that come in since then. So you can go there, you can also click there, and then it will direct you to Shy Block Builder, where you can search for the property, click on it, and then click the apply button, and you'll see some of the relevant information as well on Shy Block Builder. So that's where all applicants or all proposals will need to be submitted through Shy Block Builder. We're not receiving any of them kind of directly through email. And then in terms of next steps, we'll do Q&A now. And then we'll aggregate and publish an FAQ, an addendum based on this webinar and any additional questions that come in on a rolling basis. You can submit questions from now through October 15th directly to me, and we'll again publish those question and answers on a rolling basis until October 15th. And then submissions again are accepted until 11:59 p.m. on October 31st. And so that's everything in a nutshell. At this point, if there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer those at this time. So feel free to either drop those into the Q&A feature on Zoom, or feel free to raise your hand, and we can call on you in the order that you raise your hand. And this could also be a very quick and easy webinar if we don't have any questions. I do want to give, while we're waiting, Alderman Rodriguez, I don't know if you're available now, if you wanted to provide any remarks or any guidance on the site. We do have one question that's come in. Jorge Perez has asked, are developers encouraged to work with NFP? David, I don't know if you can take that question. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure what you mean by NFP.
Mr. Perez, what is, can you, non-for-profits? We certainly would encourage, I think a successful proposal certainly could work with local nonprofit organizations or community organizations. That certainly would meet, I think, the community benefit portion of the RFP. So I think we would encourage, it's not required, but we would certainly encourage you, if it makes sense for your program, to reach out to nonprofits, CDCs. Absolutely. Thank you for your question. Other questions? I guess while we wait, David, Chris, is there anything that you think we should add here that I haven't in the presentation?
Yeah, I think the one thing I'll say is, I think this is really a tremendous opportunity to just continue to build on, this sort of gateway along Cicero, with the traffic volume. So you're going to have activity from people going to Midway Airport and just up and down Cicero. But also, just you mentioned the investment in the Clare Court. This, definitely provides that opportunity to continue to just build momentum and energy along the Cicero Avenue corridor. I think additionally, there's the CHA sites to the south, and I believe to the north as well.
Yeah.
We're also, kind of open to ideas, and collaborating, having some discussions with them, sort of on their land as well. Of course, knowing that they have, very specific restrictions and sort of focus around affordability, but trying to make sure that this development is complementary to the future investment that CHA is planning as well. So, we're really excited about this opportunity, and we're hopeful that you'll, sort of bring in some, really bold and interesting ideas for the corridor.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, this webinar was recorded. It will be published online, so you're always able to come back and review it in your own time. If you have questions that come up between now and October 15th, feel free to email me directly at nolan.zaroff@cityofchicago.org. And we will publish answers to those questions on a rolling basis up until the 15th. With that, yeah, thank you for your interest in city-owned land. Thank you for joining the webinar today. And we're excited to see some proposals. So with that, I guess we can probably call it. But thank you all for your time and joining us today.
All right, thanks everybody.